Thank you. Hi, I'm Brady Forrest, the MC for the stage today. You may know me from Ignite Talks, and this next panel is all about taking agents from prototype to production. And the speaker today is Mark Roy. He is the AIML architect for Amazon Bedrock Services. So please welcome him out from New Hampshire.
How's everybody doing? Sorry, I can't hear that. How's everybody doing today? A little better. OK, yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed all the keynotes talking about the power of agents. The future is all about agents, for sure. It's been amazing to see the rise of coding agents going everywhere. But what we're going to see is agents really helping to reshape entire industries, improve all of our productivity in whatever we do, and really kind of reshape every possible customer experience. I'm pretty convinced that in the fullness of time here, we're going to see agents everywhere. But before the hype train goes too far here, let's do a little reality check. Show of hands, how many people have actually built an agent? Get your hands up. Impressive. Wow. I'm thinking it's about 60% here. Now, I want you to stand up if you've actually got an agent in production delivering real business value at scale. I see two over here, one in the front row. I want to see all of you after this talk. We might have an opening for you. But congratulations. But for the rest of the mere mortals in the room like me, agents are hard. Getting to production is really hard. My name is Mark Roy. I'm with AWS. I've been a builder for 30 years. And through the power of AI, I'm only 29 years old. I've been building AI solutions with customers for 8 years. In the last 3 years, it's been 24/7 agents. So a lot of excitement there, but I've met with hundreds of customers, healthcare, financial services, retail, and what do they all have in common? They're all dying to capitalize on agents, but they're all struggling with huge challenges. So for the next 20 minutes, we'll talk about the challenges that we're all facing trying to get to production, but more importantly, some solutions to help you along the way. So let's jump in. So this is what we're seeing over and over in pretty much every customer we're meeting. Open source agent frameworks are very approachable. They're very easy. That's how you've all built agents already. Download a framework, add some instructions, build a cool agent, get a demo and a prototype. You've got everyone excited. But the meaningful business value is still a huge distance away. So there's many, many, many challenges on getting to production. Performance, scalability, security, governance. We'll go into a lot of these things that are holding back agent prototypes from delivering real value. That's why back in July, AWS introduced Bedrock Agent Core with the sole focus of helping you bridge that gap. So we've got a set of services to help you do that a lot more easily. And very importantly, it works with any agent framework and with any LLM. So let's get into what is Agent Core and how does that help address what we're talking about with production challenges. So here's a typical agent. You've got a framework, maybe LangGraph, Crew AI, Strands agents. You've given it some instructions. You've picked a model. But it's pretty much running on your laptop. How do you actually then deliver this to production and have real applications take advantage of that agent at scale? So the first step is runtime. So we've got something called Agent Core Runtime, which is a serverless, secure, cost-effective way to be able to host your agent. And with just a few lines of code, you can actually take that agent running on your laptop, decorate your entry point, and magically get it into production. Agents without memory are pretty limited. So we've got something called agent core memory. And what does memory let you do? It's basically keeping track of your ongoing conversations between your user and your agent. So there's something called short-term memory to know that you asked a certain request, the agent came back with a certain answer, and ongoing, able to help your agent make more meaningful responses. And then long-term memory, being able to take those and learn from that. How do you make a super personalized agent that can remember what went on when you called in a week ago? Or remember your preferences so you can immediately get more quickly to real answers and great responses. So that's memory. One of the biggest challenges that customers face is, how do I make my agent have access to internal data, resources, APIs? You've been building up REST services and APIs for decades that now need to be tied into your agents. What Agent Core Gateway does is automatically can expose those APIs as MCP. So earlier this year, you've probably seen the rise of Model Context Protocol, MCP, and what that does is give a standard way to just plug in any agent tool into any agent framework. So now it's like a plugin. You can expose your APIs as MCP and then use them immediately. Gateway lets you do that a lot more easily. We've got a couple of off-the-shelf tools as well. Browser, if you're wanting to automate web-based applications, it's capable of seeing what's on the screen and then having an agent drive the interaction with that screen. So maybe find a button to click, find the scroll bar, enter some text, all the things that a human might do at a keyboard. You can now have your agent do that through this browser tool. And then code interpreter, LLMs have been getting great at generating code. Now you've got a secure sandbox to be able to execute that code. So if you want your agent to do data analysis, you want your agent to generate charts, anything that you might want to do with generated code, you can now do with code interpreter. The next piece is probably the most important one on the page here, and that is identity. When you think about agents, one of the things I like to repeat a lot is never trust them. Don't trust your agents. You need to secure them. Agent Core Identity is basically doing exactly that. We'll get into a little more detail here, but it's taking advantage of your identity provider, like Ping or Okta or Microsoft Entra ID, Amazon Cognito. You can plug in any identity provider, as well as any credential provider if you want to hook your agent to connect to Jira, ServiceNow, Salesforce, all of these third-party services. You need to be able to do that securely, and that's what identity does. And then lastly, for now, we've got Agent Core Observability. So across all of these, one piece of advice, don't deploy your agents without knowing what they're up to. And observability is how you do that. So it will log everything that's going on. You've got built-in metrics. You've got all the traces, all of the spans that show exactly what your app called your agent, which called another agent, which called a tool, all of the prompts and responses involved, all easily accessible through dashboards. That's what observability is. So this is what we announced back in July, and it's really been resonating really well with all the customers that are really facing these exact challenges. So let me spend a little time touching on each one of these to see a little bit more about what they offer. So from runtime, what are the problems that customers are facing for runtime? Yeah, you could take your agent and deploy it in a Lambda. Maybe you could spin up your own ECS clusters. But where do you want to invest your time? Do you want to be managing infrastructure, or do you want to be able to have something serverless that's got built-in cost advantages and scalability? I'll reiterate a point I made earlier, and that is we've purposely said, you know what? There's plenty of great agent frameworks out there. Feel free to use whatever one you want. As an example of this, 4 or 5 weeks ago, there was a deep agents framework that just came out over the weekend. On a Monday morning, I said, oh, this looks pretty cool. Let me try to run that inside of Agent Core runtime. And literally took the example from the GitHub repo, added 3 lines of code, and had it running inside of Agent Core runtime. So that's the power of being able to easily take your agent code and then host it, and then be able to use it from your applications at scale. And this third point on the right here is super important. An agent is a little bit different from traditional application. One of the biggest differences, it's figuring out what to do. It's not deterministic. And it goes beyond generative AI. It's now making decisions on the fly about what actions to take and in what sequence. So you don't want to do that without thinking through the implications of it. What runtime does is have secure session isolation. So when you're running your agents at scale, you deploy it with runtime. If user A is calling into your agent and user B is also calling into your agent, there's no chance that they'll see any information from each other. So that's a critical built-in capability in runtime. Here's a quick picture of how it works. You've got your agent using whatever framework, using whatever model. You could use Bedrock models, but you don't have to. You can use whatever models you'd like. You add a few lines of code. We containerize that for you. We host it for you. And we do it with some major cost optimizations as well. Think about the cost of your agent waiting for an LLM to take, let's say, 5 or 10 seconds to do some planning, to figure out what the next step is going to be. When runtime is hosting your agent, you don't actually pay for that time. So when your agent is not executing, it's free. So that's all built in, some of the features of what you get with runtime, solving some of the key problems: security, cost effectiveness, scale, not having to manage the infrastructure. Let's talk about Gateway. It's funny, when I had one of my first meetings with a customer about where we're headed with all of this, they were really adamant about, I really have no idea how we're going to take advantage of all of our microservices. I don't want to have all my teams writing MCP servers and writing lots of migration code. Well, that's exactly what Gateway is trying to do for you. It basically takes those existing APIs, and you can just create a gateway, add those APIs to the gateway, and now they're exposed as MCP securely. What does that mean? That means all of your agent builders, all of your teams coming up with agents can use whatever framework they want because they all speak MCP, and now they can instantly add in a gateway to their agent and access those APIs. They're all exposed as MCP. There's no custom work for each individual service. This is going to accelerate your time to market and get you closer to production more quickly. Here's how it works. You create a gateway. You add targets to it, existing REST services, or if you want to use Lambda, you can use Lambda to bridge to your APIs as well. You can even add in MCP servers, so you can now aggregate those into a gateway, and it speaks MCP, so you can connect your coding assistants to it, connect any agent framework to it, and you're good to go. For any of you that have looked into how MCP works, your framework can now talk to the gateway and list what tools are there. It can also invoke a tool. And it provides all the metadata about your tools so your agent can make good decisions about what tools to call next. You notice one more item on the left here, and that is search. MCP doesn't provide a search. Agent Core Gateway gives you that for free. So here's how that works. You add a bunch of targets to your gateway. Let's say you've got several hundred tools, Anyone have any idea what happens when you hand 350 tools to an agent? I hear laughter over here. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. It's slow, it's not accurate, and it's pretty expensive because you're chewing up a lot of tokens. So with search, you can automatically have Gateway take care of a semantic search for you. So you've got an extra tool built in, and you can search, narrow the search down to a handful of tools that are relevant for the job at hand, and then you get faster, cheaper, more accurate agents. Memory. I talked about memory earlier. What's the big deal here? Well, it's difficult. If you've tried to build memory on your own, it can be a lot of pain and suffering for your developers. So to let you focus more on building great agents, we've got an off-the-shelf implementation of memory that covers both short-term and long-term memory, and it does it in a secure fashion. Let's take a look at how that works. You've got your agent. It's handling messages, making requests, giving back responses. Maybe it's got some agent state. And agent core memory will keep track of that for you. You just hand it those events, and it'll give you a cheap, secure, fast way to keep track of those. So when your agent gets interrupted, maybe your agent, well, first of all, this is also across multiple users and multiple sessions, so it keeps that isolation as well. Once you've captured what's going on in a single conversation, one of the huge benefits of Agent Core Memory is that it handles long-term memory for you. So you basically just say, hey, I want you to keep track of these conversations and figure out what the user preferences are. I want you to automatically summarize each conversation, and let me add that back in as context in future conversations. All you need to do here is configure that with Agent Core Memory, and you can add that to your agent. Identity, I mentioned earlier, is one of the most important things to take away. I was getting together with the team building all of this back in, I don't know, about May of this year. And when I first sat down to learn about identity, I was expecting one thing. And what I found was something else. It's just so much complexity trying to handle authentication and authorization and the many different combinations there are for workflows. You've got a user talking to an app, talking to an agent that might need to talk to other agents. That agent may need to talk to internal tools, local tools, third-party services. Never trust your agent. How are you going to make sure that that's all going to be secure? Agent Core Identity is taking care of that. And we're doing that not by forcing you into a certain paradigm. We're doing it by letting you plug in wherever your existing identity provider is and all of the existing credential providers for all of the third-party resources that you need to plug in. So this is huge, kind of the hidden gem here, because nobody wants to think about security. And I don't know about you, I'm no security expert, and it's a piece of the pain and suffering that I can gladly hand off to Agent Core. Here's a quick picture of what's involved. We've got both inbound and outbound auth covered. On the inbound side, you can figure out who's calling your agent, and are they allowed to even use your agent? And on the outbound side, what is your agent allowed to do? What permissions are you going to give that agent? And then if you take the combination of the agent identity and the user, what permissions are you going to give there? What services is it allowed to use? What agents is it allowed to call? How do you talk to AWS services? How do you talk to third-party services? Doing that all securely is one of the most important blockers to getting agents from your desktop into real business value. So that's what Agent Core Identity is doing. I'll quickly cover browser and code interpreter here. There's massive opportunities for automation of existing workflows. Who wants to refactor web-based applications that have been built over the years. Why not automate them, let your agent interact with them directly, automate a lot of manual processes, speed things up. Agent Core Browser is about doing that. You would not want to, I'd recommend highly that you don't do this on your own. It's definitely a recipe for some security issues and some scalability issues. So we've taken some great care to make sure this is a secure sandbox environment. You've got the ability to control what URLs you can go to and which ones to avoid. All of those things are built in with Agent Core Browser. And now you can define agents that not only do the tools that you're traditionally giving them, but you can have this headless browser built in, and your agent can drive all those interactions automatically for you. Code interpreter, this is a great way to solve the problem of how do I do data analysis? And how do I actually take advantage of all the code that agents, LLMs, are able to generate? You need to do that in a secure sandbox environment as well. We're seeing a lot of uptake on this, a lot of interest. In fact, some of the first production applications of Agent Core are pretty excited about using Code Interpreter. And this will handle Python code, TypeScript code, and more. And here's how this works. You basically just attach the Code Interpreter as a tool into your agent. Your agent can now, when it needs to, generate some code. You know, LLMs aren't too great at math, for example, or analyzing large spreadsheets or data. Why not just let the Code Interpreter do that and generate code, maybe using pandas, maybe generate code that will create pretty charts that you need to visualize things. All of that's possible with Code Interpreter. Lastly, and some would say most importantly, is knowing what your agents are up to, observability. If you're going to trust agents to actually get work done, you better make sure that you're logging everything. You better make sure that you understand how it was making certain decisions, what tools did it call, what parameters were passed, what came back. All of this has to be done securely. And what we've done here is make it open as well. You might have heard of something called open telemetry. So we're taking full advantage of OTel so that you can actually plug this into your own third-party tools if you want to as well. We give you built-in dashboards and the ability to see metrics across all of these services. Here's a picture of how that's working. You can have agents. Again, one thing I didn't really mention too clearly earlier was these services are all working well together, but they're also independent. So you could have some agents hosted on Agent Core runtime. You could have others that you're running on EKS or on Lambda. You can still take advantage of the other services like observability. And you'll get metrics and dashboards, traces, so you can visualize what's going on with your agent interactions. OK, here's a few resources where you can dive deeper into these problems. But let me leave you with a few key takeaways before we wrap up. Number one, start thinking about production now. Don't wait. We had 60% of the people in this room raising their hand saying they've built an agent, and we had 3 people stand up saying they've gotten to production. So start thinking about production now. Second, think beyond your first agent. Start thinking about how that's going to be running at scale when it's wildly successful and you've got hundreds or thousands or even millions of users. And you think beyond that first agent into you're going to have teams with dozens of agents or maybe hundreds or thousands of agents. So think big with agents. Third, never trust your agents. Yes, we think you need to get to production to get real business value, but never trust them. Secure them. Think about authentication. Think about authorization. Think about the different flows and how you want to allow or deny certain workflows. This is probably the most important takeaway. Think about security and figure out how you're going to address that. And then the fourth one and final point is know what your agents are up to. I had a customer that went live in production without this, and it was crazy. You really need to know exactly what is happening and be able to trace it and log it and be able to audit that and prove what's going on. Yes, agents aren't deterministic, but we also know the power and the potential of agents, so we need to move forward, but still have this observability so you can know what's going on. So I think in the fullness of time, we'll see agents everywhere, and my hope is that with Agent Core, you'll be able to move quickly from agents on laptops to agents delivering real business value. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the conference.